I'm Chester Osborn, 4th generation winemaker at Darrenburg, McLaren Vale, South Australia, and we're here in the, well, not quite the vineyard, in the scrub with the vineyard behind us. You can see the sheep paddock here that we've had sheep in. We've actually turned the vineyard back into an old-fashioned technology nowadays with no fertiliser for 20 years, no cultivation, no herbicides, just organic sprays. And we use sheep in the vineyard to do the mowing in winter, and then actually using horses now to pick the grapes, or actually carry the grapes out. So really very old-fashioned ways. The winery is also very old-fashioned with submerged cap ferments, basket pressing, not really anything going on other than a bit of foot treading, and then into the barrels with no racking, no filtering and no fining. So this is all very quite traditional, what we've been doing for nearly 100 years. We're going to start tasting the Hermit Crab 2012 Viognier Marsanne. This is 70% Viognier, 30% Marsanne. It's called the Hermit Crab because Marsanne is the major white grape of Hermitage. Hermitage translated means house of the hermit, and the Hermit Crab carries his house around the whole time. So have a look at it. The Viognier is now really starting to punch out in this beautiful apricot way. But it's got a lovely complexity of the Marsanne, giving green mango, green papaya and pistachio nut characters. The wine is not particularly high in alcohol because I don't really like whites high in alcohol. It's only about 13.5% alcohol. There's only about 8% oak in there, again not trying to make it too tannic and too oxidised, trying to keep the freshness. But it's got actually quite a thick, viscous mouthfeel. It's really quite attractive. Oops, I drank it. And lovely nutty length from the Marsanne. The two varieties work extremely well together. Alright, I'll get rid of that. We'll have a look at the Footbolt 2011 Shiraz. This is named after a horse. My great-grandfather was big in horses in 1912, biggest race stakes earner in South Australia. He sold all the horses to buy the property in 1912, and Footbolt was one of the horses. So this comes, all the reds really largely come from 20 to 140-year-old vineyards, mostly around the 40, 50-year-old, I suppose now. The style of wine I make for these next two, the Dairies original included, is nice and bright and spicy and fruity, but with quite a nice little depth underneath with dark fruit characters and richness, but not too heavy, not too oily, not too fat, and not too much oak. So these wines really only see half to 2/3 oak, barriques that is, and then the other rest of it in big woods, so that they have really lovely life and ziness. That's Dad starting up the lawnmower. It's really been 2011 vintage, a very gentle vintage, elegance. We had a little bit of rain around, but they still got the full ripeness, so it still is 14% alcohol, and lovely long, fragrant fennel and gritty characters of licorice and flower. Get rid of that. And the next one, Dairies Original, 2010. This is half Shiraz, half Grenache. We've been making this wine for over 50 years. It used to be called Burgundy originally. Call it Dairies Original because really this is Dad's real baby, I suppose, the one that really made success with the company through the 60s particularly. And the Grenache adds a beautiful sweetness and spiciness. But Grenache in McLaren Vale is not quite the same as in Chateauneuf du Pape often. It's more spicy and gritty and fragrant fine characters rather than in Chateauneuf du Pape you see either them being, I suppose, bar salt lavender characters and dark fruits and thick earthy characters, quite concentrated. We're actually a little cooler where we get our Grenache from, so they're spicier and the acid is really lovely and fine and gritty and long in the wine. The Shiraz, I suppose, is somewhat similar to the Footbolt that we just talked about. Yeah, it really gives a lovely succulence, and then that long, spicy, gritty, fragrant complexity with a nice little bit of earthiness. All of our wines show an earthy terroir character because of the no fertiliser in the vineyard. Probably hear some parrots going off right now too. Bloody buggers, they eat the grapes all the time. Alright, we'll move along to the next one. We've got the Laughing Magpie Shiraz Viognier, called the Laughing Magpie because my daughters couldn't say kookaburra when they were 3 years old. They call them Laughing Magpies. I was looking for something black and white, because black and white grapes, Magpie's black and white. It's a very cheerful wine, so therefore it is a Laughing Magpie. Very bright fruits, you can really smell the Viognier, apricot, blossom and ginger really punching out, but at the same time it really forces out the Shiraz characters, the plums and the round licorice characters, and mulberry and dark cherry. Now these next three wines, all 2009, they're also all 100% from barriques. There's been no racking, so we left the lees in the barrel. They're quite concentrated grapes, so we have to be very gentle. So that's why we do no plunging, no pumping over. It's just this 1 foot treading. But again, not oily, lovely, vibrant, juicy, fennel, licorice, spicy characters, rich and long, but not oily and fat and heavy. And with total oak integration again, with those fine white wine tannins of the Viognier, giving a fine little zingy, herb, flowery apricot head. All right, and then we got the Galvo Garage, 2009 Bordeaux blend, Cabernet, 64% Cabernet, 16% Merlot, 10% Cabernet Franc, and 10% Petit Verdot. And it reeks of Bordeaux, Bordeaux varieties, I should say. It's probably a little bit plummier and rounder than many Bordeauxs, but it's huge fruit. Cabernet was king in McLaren Vale up until 1990, then the export boom happened and everyone wanted Shiraz, but actually Cabernet was the highest priced grapes in McLaren Vale, highest priced wines before then. And it makes great Cabernet, really lovely cassis characters with a nice little leafy like note. It never suffers from the donut effect, the hole in the middle of the palate. Always a lovely juicy rich character, but not overly rich because I don't push it too far. The Merlot comes from Adelaide Hills, has a lovely brightness, fruitiness, ages really slowly, and good acidity up there. Cabernet Franc, it's an old vine vineyard, giving a depth to it, and red fruits as you get in Cabernet Franc, but a little bit darker because it's old vine and a bit more deep characters than normal Cabernet Franc. Petit Verdot, 10%. Petit Verdot gives a spiciness when young, but when it's older and it's starting to really open up, it gives a beautiful Satsuma plum and Cabernet-like fruits of cassis and little leaf edges. And that's why Petit Verdot is so good in this region. Being so dry in autumn, always gets great Petit Verdot. Yep, beautiful silkiness in that wine right now. And all the 09s show a really beautiful herb. It's a rhubarb-like vibrant acidity and rhubarb length, which is going to age for many, many years, really classic style. The Dead Arm, 2009. Again, a little bit more elegant vintage than some years, which I actually quite like because it's got this really bright fruit of fennel and spices. Called the Dead Arm because of the dead arms in the vineyard. The vine, where a part of the vine dies off from Utah, and the other part's left growing. They're all old vine vineyards, and every 20 years we have to go through and cut off the dead arms and retrain them. But again, it's a big, rich wine, but not heavy and oily. Oak is fully integrated. Starting to get some interesting complexity of tertiary characters now, starting a bit of development, just a little bit of rich development coming in, but very open fruits as well as some tight fruits. Yeah, really long fennel and spice, which is what I really love about this vintage, with all that lovely rich concentrated flavour. So that's it. Enjoy.